Happy Juneteenth, y'all. I'm celebrating the intersectionality of liberation by talking to some of my favorite community organizers and activists. Today, I'm talking to Kara James, a nurse practitioner from Planned Parenthood who started the Black Health Initiative. It is an extension of Planned Parenthood to help Black communities get access to reproductive health, emotional health, and more. You can find out more about the Black Health Initiative and Kara James at LizzoLovesYou.com.
Miss Kara, what I loved is that you made people be about that action. Because I remember 2020, there was a lot of organizations, a lot of people, they were sharing words of support to the Black community. But you was like, now show me. Can you share your story?
When I first got to Planned Parenthood in 2019, I saw a young sister rocking the shirt that said, "Stand with Black women." I was captivated. And just 6 months later in 2020, from the start, the pandemic wreaked havoc on communities of color, creating a toxic storm of infection, hospitalization, and death. It laid bare not just the vulnerabilities in the U.S. hospital systems, but gaping disparities to access to quality health care across Black communities. The pandemic also forced the whole world to slow down. It allowed us to witness the horrific murders of Ahmaud Arbery, Breonna Taylor, and George Floyd, catapulting centuries of systemic racism and injustices that have been inflicted on the Black community. The whole world could see. Now, Alexis McGill Johnson, our fearless leader, our CEO of Planned Parenthood Federation, she's a sister. Her Twitter, her Instagram, all that was on fire. And then Sue Dunlap, our amazing CEO at Planned Parenthood Los Angeles, sent out this email denouncing the horrors of white supremacy. But we needed concrete, authentic commitment to the Black community. And so I responded to Sue's email and I asked to meet with them. And so at that meeting, I presented the the blueprint of what would become the Black Health Initiative.
I love Black print, by the way.
I tried to keep that the same because that's what it was. It was a Black print. I mean, so many organizations across this nation made these promises to the Black community in 2020. But as soon as the lights turned off, they walked away. They left us hanging. And so now where we have landed at the Black Health Initiative at Planned Parenthood, there's a clinic. When you walk into this clinic, Lizzo, you see Black art adorn the walls. So our patients are proud of what they see. It's easy to see who we are representing. You know, it's easy. We have Black clinicians at this clinic. We have a behavioral health care therapist inside the clinic. We're providing holistic health care. We have a free legal clinic. We have a community center. We have healthcare workers, community health workers. We have a Black health education team. Now, because of speaking up and speaking out, this is what's happening. We're about to open our second Black Health Initiative clinic. And this is now a nationwide initiative. We have 600 clinics across this country.
Wow.
In hoods and Black communities across this nation, we're doing the work. This is our commitment to equity and justice.
Can I just clap? I don't know why I wanted to clap after that. I have no words, but wow, because I had no idea. I feel like I'm learning about BHI or the Black Health Initiative right now with you. I think all of those things you listed are so important and impactful because when people think about Planned Parenthood, they just think about birth control and abortions. And while those are important things, there's so much more to it. And you don't realize how much these things matter.
I mean, holistically, so we provide vasectomy, sexually transmitted infection, testing and treatment, urinary tract infections, breast exams, pap smears. I mean, we do a whole lot more than abortions is only 2% of the work that we do. We're doing so much more.
Can you elaborate on the vision and the goals of the Black Health Initiative and how it's going to address the disparities of healthcare for Black women specifically?
It's so much. Just thinking about where we have landed, the Black Health Initiative, for us to have a clinic already, a clinic that serves thousands of people. The Black Health Education team are in the trenches of the community. We're partnering with organizations, Black-led and grassroots organizations. Just by speaking up and speaking out, now we're on this mission. This is a mission. This is a movement that started in 2020, but now it's coming to fruition and it's continuing to move, it's continuing to grow. Now it being a national part of this organization. This is a 100-year-old organization that is transforming just by the what we're doing in the Black community.
Amen. Can you share about your personal journey and what inspired you to become a nurse and advocate for Black women's health in the first place?
I'm a Black woman first. I'm a mentor, motivator. I'm an advocate. I'm a hood chick. I'm a Black mother. I'm a Black wife. I'm a proud Planned Parenthood nurse practitioner. You know, I dropped out of high school. If you could have, paid me to say that this is where I would be, using my voice, speaking up and advocating for folks, that's who I always have been. But it was important for me to, in 2020, we had this opportunity. We were in this movement. The whole world was watching. The whole world, everybody made these promises, but what we gonna do? We need concrete. We need real commitment to the Black community, and that's been my motivation. My kid's father committed suicide in the LA County Jail when my girls were only 4 and 1. I didn't have an option of just quitting it or stopping. I had to continue to put one foot in front of the other. And what's so amazing about what I get to do at Planned Parenthood, I see patients who have been through hell and high water like I have. And to be able to, provide care, I take off my white coat sometimes. I can look, we come from the same place. I understand where you're coming from. We need to uplift and empower folks that look like us.
Wow. I mean, you have no idea how powerful it is to see someone like even me, my therapist is a Black woman, and how important that is for me to feel seen and not feel like timid or like, will she understand? To feel understood and to truly be taken care of.
I mean, but I want to thank you for putting yourself out there on the front line. You out there on the front line with me. You advocating, empowering folks across this world. You using your platform to empower Black folks, to empower folks, LGBTQIA, the communities. I mean, you are doing this work, and I thank you for your commitment to us.
Thank you. I appreciate that. But, like a common thread that I've seen from talking to people like you and other activists is like, you didn't sign up for this. The things that happened to you that were so painful, you used as a motivator to get to where you got, like talking about being a mother for your children and being a Black woman first. It was like, you had to do this. You know what I mean? It's so thankless. And I know that this is for me, I can come and I can share my platform, but for you, this is every single day. You wake up and you put this on for the people and for your community. So I want to highlight you, especially. This is my platform that I just want to put the spotlight on people like you and say thank you, because it's not easy. You know what I mean? Like the things you went through, like your story, it's inspiring to people, but it's still your story. It's still painful,
It's hard work. I mean, being out here on the front line is hard. You're advocating against racism. Racism is still a part of every single aspect of our life. It impacts our education. It impacts our community. It impacts the type of food we receive. It impacts our healthcare. Black folks die at younger ages of all causes because of racism. It impacts everything. And so to be in this fight, to be on this mission, I mean, it is hard. Because you have, most people are so afraid to speak up and speak out. And so we, like you, are the voices for millions of people.
And there's wild statistics out there too that affect Black women specifically, like the rate of dying during childbirth or the rate of HIV in our communities. And it's so like disproportionately high. And it just makes you wonder, like, why aren't we getting taken care of? Why is this happening to us?
And the sad part of that is a lot of people don't even realize the statistics. Black women are dying at the highest rate in the developed world in one of the richest countries on the planet, and the rate is rising. Black women are 3 to 4 times more likely to die in childbirth. Black babies are 2 to 3 times more likely to die before their first birthday. And it's not because they have these crazy conditions. It's because they don't have access to quality health care. That's where the problem lies.
What you did was so inspiring. Like, you took an email and you turned it into multiple clinics across the country. How does that happen? I know there are so many people who are like, I want to do something for my community. I want to make something intangible, tangible. Like, what was that like? And what were the building blocks like creating this?
Planned Parenthood, the support of this organization on every single level, the CEO, the VP of everything, the chiefs. You know, when we started this, the movement, it's a movement. When we started this movement, I had the backing of the whole organization. So it was amazing just to see where we would land.
They put the work where their mouth was, for sure, to be able to do that.
Planned Parenthood has been on this mission it's been 4 years now. You know, now it's a nationwide thing. It's a lifetime. Planned Parenthood has been advocating on the front line for 100 years.
Right.
So to be in this position now, we have so much power as an organization. And I honestly, I love what we do. I love the work that we're doing. I work with so many passionate and committed Black, brown, all kind of folks, men, women who are on the front line. It's really amazing what we're doing here.
Can we talk about the front lines? Because I feel like we're going to need more people moving into this political climate. It feels like reproductive health and rights are being infringed, and it feels like it's getting more and more regressive, and it's getting scarier. What has the Black Health Initiative and Planned Parenthood had to endure with these last few years, with the legislator taking away reproductive rights, and what are y'all doing to combat it?
We are in California, but it doesn't matter where you are, you're not safe. No judge, no legislator, no politician should have the power to decide when a woman has a baby, when she decides to recreate. It shouldn't be someone else who has that power. You know, a lot of times I was in this conversation, I had a conversation with 5 young sisters. These sisters went to a HBCU. 75% of the HBCUs are in areas that do not have access to abortion. Only one of these sisters had a long-term birth control, had any type of birth control. Many folks here, you know, as Black folks, don't have sex. We're setting our folks up for failure. It's important to educate. Education is so very important. Empowering young folks, having a conversation. You know, we hear all these stories, and we're oftentimes afraid even to use birth control. But birth control has been around for so many years. We have to educate ourselves. There's so much false information that we're battling against. They'll tell you anything and put a Black face in front of it, and we'll run with it. It's so important to educate and empower, and that's something that I have the opportunity to do as a provider. Educate and empower. When folks walk in and say, well, I didn't know. Well, let me give you the game. Let me teach you what's for real. Don't believe just because your auntie said it doesn't make it true. You know, you need to know the truth. You know, we need to have this real conversation.
Yep. I do believe that education is a form of activism. Learning is especially in the Black community, because we have been prohibited from learning and even reading for so long. Like, reading is an act of rebellion and resistance. So I was curious about engaging with the community, how you provide education, how BHI educates people on preventative care, you know, and what have you seen from your efforts?
I see women who come into the clinic who have a hard time paying for food, transportation, childcare, housing, who are forced to travel out of state to have an abortion. The maternal morbidity and mortality is going to increase by 33%.
Oh my God, yeah.
So we're already 3 to 4 times more likely to die, but that number is going to increase. It's going to force people who can't afford to go out of state, who can't afford to travel, who don't have the time off from work. You know, that's what I see. And so they're forced to travel out of state if they have the time off for work, if they can afford it, to have an abortion. I mean, that is a travesty. That is horrible. It will force women to find unsafe providers, you know, quack doctors, or try to have an abortion themselves. This is what is forcing people to do. This lack of access to abortion will force people into poverty, not just for a generation, but for generations.
Right.
These are the same places who don't help you with childcare, not helping you with food, not, the transportation system is bad. They're not going to help you have the children, but they're going to force you to have a child that you can't afford. And then the communities, the schools in our communities are not very good. The education system is different. What they offer, just everything is just totally different. Nothing is fair. Racism impacts everything, and nothing is fair.
Yeah, I think we all are just numbers to them, and we're dehumanized. So they don't think about that. They don't think about what the legislation affects to everyone's everyday life.
They don't care.
They don't
care.
It's not that they don't think about it, they don't care. You're absolutely right.
It's not going to affect them. If you have the power, if you have enough money, lack of access to abortion doesn't affect you. I met a sister recently. I was in Louisiana, and I had a young sister who made $10 an hour. She had a good job. But I'm thinking, if she had to travel out of state to get an abortion, she couldn't afford to. She didn't have the time off work. She didn't have that access. I have 3 amazing daughters. My 3 daughters, it troubles me to think that my daughters do not have the same rights as I had.
That's wild.
My daughters have to make a decision of where they want to live their life, just if they have it based on if they have access to abortion. It's not just abortion, but if you have a miscarriage, your life is in danger. Pregnancy is a death sentence in many of these areas. But
So I'm wrapping my mind around that your daughters have less bodily autonomy now than when you were young, when you were their age.
Wherever they move to, you should have access to abortion. They don't have OBGYNs. Doctors are moving. They're leaving the states that have lack of access to abortion because they're threatening prosecution. So now they don't have the doctors to provide prenatal care. They don't have the doctors there. That increases maternal morbidity and mortality. It's really a scary place. If you have a miscarriage, you have the same procedure as an abortion, but you can't provide that. Doctors are unable to provide that procedure. They're putting people's lives in danger.
What can we do? What is Planned Parenthood working on the legislative side? Are they in Capitol Hill?
Well, we're on the front. We've been on the front line for 100 years.
Yes, I've seen the marches.
I had a meeting with the California Legislative Black Caucus recently, being able to speak up, speak out, sharing what we're doing in Black Health Initiative. It is amazing what we're doing. If we don't speak up, nobody else is going to speak up. We're not free unless all of us are free.
Thank you for what you've done, because creating the BHI within Planned Parenthood is monumental, and with the work that y'all do, we can hopefully see where Black women have access to healthcare everywhere. I'm hopeful for this country. As quickly as laws get changed, they can, or get undone, they can get redone, and new laws can be written and protections can be made for American citizens. So I believe in us. Can we talk about, on the other side of things, you've been vocal about the complexities and anxieties that people who live with HIV face. Can you discuss the work that Planned Parenthood has done to combat the stigma and provide support for those affected by HIV, especially within the Black community?
A lot of people don't realize it. I often have this conversation. If you're not using condoms 100% of the time, you should come get tested every 3 months. Syphilis and HIV is on the rise. I treat patients with syphilis often. We provide resources for patients who have HIV, decreasing the stigma. People who they trust Planned Parenthood. People who've had a hard time in life, they believe and they know that they can trust that Planned Parenthood will provide care without judgment. And I think that's something that's extremely important when it comes to the stigma. Folks who come inside of Planned Parenthood know there's no judgment.
There's a culture of shame around our sex organs and our reproductive organs, and even
people be afraid to say they got a yeast infection. Do you know what I'm saying? And it's like, yo, we should be more comfortable talking about these things. We shouldn't shame people for having organs that are functioning. You know what I'm saying? And I appreciate you for making that conversation a little easier to navigate.
Well, I have sisters that come into the clinic who, I mean, your vagina doesn't have to smell like peaches and cream and rose water. You put these products and that causes problems. You put these products inside of you. Your body is perfect. It does all the things it's supposed to do on its own. And so, that's a conversation I'm often having too. Something as simple as that. Your body is what it's supposed to be. If you put all these products in, you don't know if you have an issue. You don't know what it's supposed to smell like, because you got bubble gum and fruit flavor, and your body is perfect on its own. And that's something else, and being able to empower sisters. I have a sister when I was at Southern University, Baton Rouge, and thank you for highlighting SU.
Okay. That was a time, honey.
Right. So when I was at Southern, there was a sister named Maya from Detroit. Maya would walk out butt naked. It was only 8 of us inside of our this little unit that we were in. We had 4 rooms, and it was only 8 of us. She'd walk out butt naked. Everybody else had their clothes. Everybody else was trying to cover up fear of being seen.
That's
Maya. About 2 weeks later, I was butt naked too. Why I have to, shame is something we have to think the thought of shame. And it shouldn't be like that. We should be proud of who we are. That's something that you champion, bringing all of you to the table. That's something people get from me. I'm coming all of me. I'm gonna show you who I am. I can't fake and pretend like I'm somebody else, because I'm not gonna know who I was the last time you saw me. If I come as my authentic self, and it's important to empower other people to be themselves. And it's so hard. As a Black woman, if you're angry, they silence you. But I need to bring me. Sometimes I am angry. I need to bring me to the table. I need to bring my authentic self.
I know sometimes we're so afraid of having the stereotype that we refrain from being human, and it's like, don't let the stereotype keep you from being a person. Keep you from living in your full expression. If you want to be angry and a Black woman, then I guess I'm an angry Black woman right now, and that's fine.
Yes.
I'm not the only. Everyone gets angry sometimes. How come when I'm angry, it's a bad thing?
Right.
Well, if Maya can teach us anything, because my whole family from Detroit, that walk around butt naked thing. If she teaches us anything, it's ain't nobody gonna do it unless somebody do it. And ain't nobody gonna say it unless somebody says it. And thank you for doing and saying the work. Thank you for holding people to their word. I don't want to say accountable, but let's just say it. Thank you for the accountability that you brought to Planned Parenthood, and I'm sure that inspired so many other organizations. And thank you for your work and your activism. I know that it's thankless. And so if I could say thank you a million times, because it's truly thankless, and you're so radiant and you're shining in it. And I can tell that this is just what you love to do. It brings you so much joy. And for that, that's rare. For that, I say thank you again.
Thank you. I appreciate this, being able to speak up and speak out, being a bright light in places where it's nothing but darkness.
Thank you so much, Kara. You are incredible. We love you, and happy Juneteenth. Thank you for talking.
Wait, hold on. Juneteenth is my birthday. That's right on time for me. I grew up in Texas. In Texas, they were celebrating. They had these holidays. I didn't get to participate in the holidays because we didn't celebrate in California. So now we're celebrating Juneteenth. It's a national holiday. I love, I'm on a perfect day.
Yeah.
Like they were talking about these parades, and I'm like, what? We wasn't doing none of that in California.
No. Juneteenth was just Texas, really, and mostly just like Southeast Texas, like Houston, Galveston. Yes. So I grew up celebrating, because I'm from Detroit, but I moved down to Houston when I was like 9. I grew up celebrating Juneteenth and knowing it was very national to me. But then when I left, didn't nobody else know about Juneteenth?
Right.
So one of my goals was to champion Juneteenth and to bring this holiday to a national, at least attention, because it's about liberation. And that's my favorite thing about this holiday. And this year, I wanted to focus on how liberation is intersectional. So the intersectionality of freedom and liberation and what that looks like within the Black community. Thank you for representing a juncture of that intersection with me today, and for celebrating Juneteenth. And so we can all be free.
Yes.
All right. God bless you. I love you. This was an incredible talk. You are so important.
If you're looking for Planned Parenthood, PlannedParenthood.org is how you can find us.
I'm going to put everything on LizzoLovesYou.com too, so they can
Okay.
connect with y'all. All right. I love you. Bye.
All right, I love you back, Queen.